me tell you people, the things I read in the prompter are not written by myself or Yendi. So I'm going to read what it says. It says, thanks for sticking with us. Backed by Singular Demand, it's our Ask a Vet segment featuring seasoned veterinarian Dr. Patrick Craig. Dr. Craig will be addressing a few concerns and dilemmas sent in by our beloved animal lovers and farm folk across Jamaica, from household pets to livestock. Dr. Craig is here to ensure your animals stay happy and healthy. Yes. So, welcome back, Doc.
Welcome,
Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you. Doc, how you shake IT hand so different from mine? Hey! All right, so we actually, as IT said, we have questions that have come in, right? So we're going to throw straight into them. Are you ready?
Let's go.
The first one is on low egg count. So it says, I operate a small chicken business in my community, and I've heard that there might be chicken shortage. Supermarkets, rather, have been running low on eggs, and I want to help fill that gap. Is there anything I can do to add to my chicken's diet to boost their egg production?
Right. So there are commercial diets made available for chickens, and we're talking about layer birds right now. What we always advise our farmers, our customers, do not add anything to your chicken diet. The diet is already balanced, it's fortified, it has everything it needs. Adding anything to a balanced diet would actually throw it off. So you really don't want to add anything to the diet. We recommend to farmers to, we're talking about chickens right now, there's a set amount of feed that we feed per day. So for every layer birds, we try to give a quarter pound of feed per day. And we want to do that in maybe 2 feedings. So maybe half in the morning, half in the evening. Make sure that you have cool water, cool, clean water. There's something else that they need. Now, every chicken, they have a little gland in their brain called the pineal gland, and it produces an hormone called melatonin. Now, every bird that lays an egg, they need at least 16 hours of 16 hours of light. So you have artificial light, which is about 12 hours in a given day, like from 6 to 6 in the evening. You're going to need 16 hours of continuous light per day, which means you need to give an additional 4 hours in the evening.
Yes.
But not just any time in the evening. You want to make sure that the birds are seeing 12 hours of light, and then you turn on the light before it's dark so that they get another 4 hours.
And
so they
is it like
need
a particular lamp? Is it
they need just a regular light bulb and something that you can actually see to read a newspaper.
So you see, like how Christmas coming now, you have to set the light have come on from 5:30.
Timer, so you could use a timer. So adding anything to the feed, not necessary. When the birds get a little bit older, the eggshell get a little bit brittle, you may want to give a little bit of calcium in the form of maybe limestone or oyster shell, but we don't want you to add that to the feed. You can put that in an additional feed pan somewhere, and that helps to give the shell quality a little bit of integrity. So that's all.
Whoa, a plethora of information. Next question is Hitched.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding dogs mating. My dogs keep getting stuck together during the process. Could you explain why this happens and what I should do when it happens?
Very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. I've heard that one before on many occasions. People don't really understand that when dogs mate, at the end of mating, there is something that is called a copulatory tie, which means both of them get stuck together. Now, why does this happen? If you look at dogs compared to cats, they're not the same. Cats, they'll come and eat every 21 days. Goats, cows, pigs, they all do it. Human beings, they have this menstrual cycle of every 28 days. In animals, you usually get every 21 days, but dogs don't have that. Dogs, they usually come and eat maybe twice a year. And so, the likelihood of them getting pregnant, a cat could get pregnant so many times for the year, a rabbit could get pregnant so many times for the year. The dog maybe has 1 or 2 times per year just to get pregnant. And so what happens is that when they mate, once the penis goes in and the dog ejaculates, you want to get the highest chance of having a pregnancy. So the penis has something inside here called the bulbus glandis, and it swells up, fills with blood, swells up, and it stays in. And it can stay in for anything from 5 minutes up to about almost an hour. During that time, you really don't want to do anything. What you'd want to do is to make sure you keep them calm, don't touch them, don't try to separate them, because somebody is going to get hurt. And once that gland goes down, the swelling is gone, they'll separate and they go their merry way.
And it's nature, it's natural, so leave them
natural.
be. Yes,
very, very natural. They're the only one, well, dogs, foxes, and other canine breeds. But the canine breed, they're the only one who do it. You don't want to do anything during that process.
Right.
Leave them alone.
Leave them be. All right, here's another one for you, the horse and the hump. This question says, I've noticed some strange humps on my horse's back, particularly under the saddle area. They're slightly hard and is currently the size of a tennis ball. I'm worried that they might indicate a saddle fit issue. I'm not sure. How can I determine if it's a serious issue and if I need a vet?
Once you see something that is abnormal and you're not really sure what it is, you definitely need a vet.
Yeah.
Yes. Could be saddle issue. If it's not the right size, you're gonna get abrasions. You're gonna get rubbing against the skin. First thing you're gonna get is if you have something rubbing against the skin, it's a little bit uncomfortable. You're going to have some form of area that is damaged underneath the skin. You're gonna get this what you call healing. It's by fibrous tissue. So if you ever get a cut on your hand and you see it's healing and that area is very tough, that's exactly what's happening to the horse. It might not be painful at first, but if it continues and it's chronic, you may get abrasions, you may start getting inflammation, you could run into problems. So you really need to see the vet first. Another thing, there's another condition that I usually worry about when people talk about skin issues in horses and lumps. It's actually a tumor, and it's called a nodular sarcoid. It's not very common, but if it does pop up on your horses, you may want to have that checked out. We usually don't just go and try to remove it, because the first thing with those is that when you try to cut them off, they start to grow and they start to expand and they get bigger, and then you have a bigger problem on your hands. So call your vet. If you see something, you don't like it, you're not sure what it is, don't do anything at home. Call your vet first. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's why we are here. We have more questions. The itchy dog dilemma. My dog has been scratching and licking himself like crazy lately. I have checked for fleas, but I can't find any. I'm worried he might have allergies or a skin infection. What can I do to help him find some relief without rushing to the vet for every little itch?
One of the biggest problems we have with dogs anywhere across the world, dogs scratching, dogs having some skin issues. It's the biggest organ we have on the body.
Right.
The biggest organ the dog will have on their body. And so you have a lot of problems. So dogs will scratch, we're not sure what it is. We don't want to do anything at home. We don't want to try any home remedy. We're not sure. It could be anything. It could be parasites, and you really don't have to see the parasites there. It could take one flea. That flea will bite the dog. They inject a little bit of saliva under the skin. It becomes irritating. They scratch very much. We may not see any. So what you want to do first is to make sure that your dogs are up to date with their flea and tick prevention. That's very, very important. It could be anything like a bacterial infection, a fungal infection. Those things, only the vets can determine that. You take them to the vet. We may do a little skin scrape. We'll look under the microscope. If we see certain type of cells, it could indicate, okay, it could be a bacterial infection depending on the profile of cells, or a yeast infection. It could be so many other different things. Ticks, fleas, parasites, any of those things. Some of the things that you can do at home, make sure that your dogs are up to date. There are products, for example, fish oil, salmon oil.
Yeah.
Those contain like omega-3. Those contain like omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. They do contain anti-inflammatory properties. You may want to use those. If you use them long term, it's very good for the skin of the animals.
I saw something. Tell me if this is a do or a don't. Putting a spoon of coconut oil in your dog's food.
That is something that is recommended, but I wouldn't do it without a vet's consent.
Okay. And that's nothing to do with the skin, or is it? Apparently it makes you cold.
Yes, so it's the same effect you get from the salmon oil or the fish oil.
Gotcha.
So they do have all of these antioxidant properties, anti-inflammatory properties, so you may want to, but I would not recommend the coconut oil first. The salmon oil or the fish oil, they are much better for your dogs. There are non-prescription shampoos out there like oatmeal shampoos. Those ones, they do contain antioxidant properties also, very good for the skin, so you may want to use those. But I would strongly recommend that you consult with the vet first before doing anything else.
Okay.
Very important.
All right, Nutrition 101. I'm just getting started with my small livestock farm and currently have chickens, goats, and cows. Can you provide general feeding recommendations for these animals, focusing on nutrient requirements? I want to ensure I'm feeding them a balanced diet, avoiding overfeeding, and providing ample clean water. Any specific advice for each type of livestock would be greatly appreciated.
So chickens, goats, and cows. Let's start with the chicken first, because that one is a little bit easier, because there are commercial diets for chickens. Now, there are two types of chickens that we have in Jamaica. There's the layer bird, and then there are broiler birds.
I'm thinking this is a country fowl and
And there's no one size that fits all.
Right.
Now, for broiler birds, there are many different types of feed. If you're doing them for commercial purposes, there may be like 3 different types. There's a starter, a grower diet and there's a finisher diet. But for, for small farmers, generally we do like one type that, is very fitting. Those birds grow on average 6 weeks. You want them to be as heavy as possible because they're going for meat production. So we feed them right around the clock. And there are commercial diets available for that. For the layer birds, there are different type of diets also. Generally, we use 2 for small farmers. There's one that we use at the time when they just started laying. And this is if you're not actually growing your birds from the baby stage up until laying, which takes about 4.5 months, 5 months. And then there's a commercial diet that we use at the end of lay that we call egg ration, which has a little bit more calcium and it's good for the eggs, especially when the eggs are getting a little bit bigger. So that's for chickens. It's very easy. You just go out and you buy the commercial diet. You really don't have to do anything else. You don't need to add anything to it. Just give water. For the laying birds, give the light and provide feed. And make sure that birds are comfortable.
Right.
When we talk about cows and goats, those are a little bit different. Those animals were born to eat what? Grass. But we have a lot of grass, and people always say, okay, we have a lot of grass, just give them grass. But the grass is not of the best quality that we have in Jamaica. The quality is not the best. We always want to get a balanced diet. What we do in our profession, especially at work, my day job, we tend to collect grass samples. If we go to a particular farm, we send that off to do analysis to make sure that the grass profile is adequate. If it's not adequate and everything is not there, the protein profile is not what we want it to be, other nutrients, especially if they're not fertilizing the grass, we need to add stuff to it. So you'll need to make sure that you analyze everything and add everything for them to have a balanced diet. And of course, there are commercial diets that we make for cows at every stage of their physiological life. There's some for the calves, there's some for the heifers when they reach like about 5 months. We have feed just before you breed them. We have feed during the breeding process. We have feed when they're being milked for milk production because they have more of the calcium and phosphorus and other things that they need. And so, as I said, there's no one size that fits all. And so you really want to know exactly what you're giving to know that, okay, if I'm giving this, these are missing, so I need to add these things to the diet.
Very fascinating.
Fascinating. I'm engrossed and engaged and intrigued.
It's a science.
It is.
I went to school to do veterinary medicine. There are people out there who went to school to study nutrition, animal nutrition. So it's a science in itself. And there are people out there making a living just by being animal nutritionists.
And this science is critically important to even our very existence. It's how we nourish our bodies. So amazing.
These are food animals. And the food that they produce, where does it go?
In our bodies, to nourish our bodies. Brilliant stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Ask a Vet with Senior Manager at Newport Mills and Trusted Veterinarian, Dr. Patrick Craig. IT, have a favorite Boyz II Men song?
I can't sing it to you. I have to sing it to Karen.
No, please.
I'll make love to you.
We're gonna go for a break. 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 Please break.